time is numb, the Keurig's clean. Your dog is dead, it's a Ponzi Scream. Ponzi Scream, Ponzi Scream, because it's just something to do.
Woo!
Keith Springer is the president of Springer Financial, author of Facing Goliath.
Keith Springer of Springer Financial.
So I've got to go back to you, Keith. What do you think right now?
I think the markets over a period of time are going to like this. I wouldn't be surprised
I
if
realize
we
that the economy
turned around.
has changed so much.
92 million people are in massive savings mode. They don't have the money to push the economy forward. I started back when Ronald Reagan was president, a long time ago. And I'm pleased and very lucky to be able to do something that I've always wanted to do. To be a financial advisor is no better thrill than helping people. I get no better feeling than
That's always been my dream.
Working with for 10, 15, 20, 25, even 30 years.
30?
Comes up and gives me a hug and says, hey, thank you. Because of you, I can retire. And there's really no better feeling than the hug or the nod.
The hug or the nod, baby.
Yeah.
The hug or the nod.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, yeah.
5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 35, maybe even 40.
45?
Buddy, I can keep counting all day.
I can count by fives as high as you want me to, Mrs.
Girl, don't even.
Mrs. Christensen, I can count by fives.
Yeah. I think I know who this guy is because I did read about him.
So Keith Springer was charged by the Securities and Exchange Commission on December 19th with defrauding hundreds of retail clients.
And then just the music playing in the background.
Most of them in or close to retirement.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, after
most-
they'd already left their accumulation stage of their...
Yeah, so he's hugging them.
Their career.
He's hugging
Yeah.
them and then sucking all the blood out of, or squeezing them until they're.
He just likes the hug or the nod.
Yeah.
The hug or the nod.
He hugs them until their goo comes out and takes in all their precious nutrients.
The complaint alleges that Springer and his company, Springer Financial Advisors, received millions of dollars in undisclosed compensation and other benefits for recommending certain investment products while claiming that they did not have any conflicts of interest.
See, I know what you're gonna say because there was a radio show, right, associated with this, right?
Yes.
Audience, you're gonna learn a very valuable lesson right off the bat. Right here is do not trust people with this type of name in their radio syndication.
Do not trust a Keith. Never trust a Keith.
Well, not his name literally, the name of the show. What's
Smart Money with Keith Springer.
That's like
Smart Money with Keith
that's
Springer.
the dumbest shit I've ever. I mean, that's like
That was the original name for Ponzi Scream, but then it was already taken. when
Yeah,
we
yeah,
looked it up.
the cerebral piggy bank.
Yeah. Oh, that's some NPR shit right
Keith
there.
Springer Esquire.
with Larry Fall.
Yeah, yeah.
Larry Autumn.
Yeah.
Springer misled prospective clients on his radio show into believing that he was selected to host the show because of his industry expertise.
Nice.
But it wasn't expertise. It was that he was
In reality.
Christ ordained.
He was an autocratic leader.
It was not industry expertise. It was expertise with the man up top,
Yeah.
the Hashem,
Yeah.
Yes.
the Yahweh.
Jehovah gave him his financial planning bullet points and said, spread this.
In reality, Springer SFA paid to broadcast the show.
Who's SFA?
Springer Financial Advisors.
Wait, so he paid himself.
So
This is sponsored content.
it's brought to you by Smart Money with Keith Springer. So SFA, Springer Financial Advisors, paid to create Smart Money with Keith Springer.
Okay.
Hosted by Keith Springer.
You can't have your name in all of these fucking things because people are going to find out that there's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the only way to find out. But
yeah.
yes, that is a way to find, a very easy way to find out.
Yeah.
The SEC's complaint further alleges that Springer went into great lengths to hide prior charges by the SEC and his disciplinary history with the New York Stock Exchange, hiring internet search suppression consultants and instructing employees not to provide the information to prospective clients.
Oh, they came down with him with the stick. They gave him a spanking when they disciplined him.
How much do you have to pay Google to scrub your name from search histories?
Well, I actually have some insight into this. You can't.
How do you have insight into this?
Because I've worked for companies that deal with SEO, search engine optimization, and the short answer is, Gabe, you can't. But what you can do is you can hire these companies that will basically try to not stop Google from like making a certain assumption about you, but like redirect it. And the common thing that people can relate to recently is when Boris Johnson had that weird interview with like the BBC, and they're like, "What do you do in your spare time?" And he's like, "Well, I like to create these miniature buses out of milk cartons, and I make these little cities and stuff." And people were like, "Oh, that's really strange, and you're a freak for doing that."
What do you do to relax? What do you do to switch off?
I like to paint, or I make things. I like to.
What do you make?
I have a thing where I make models of. When I was in Mayor of London, we built a beautiful. I make buses.
You make models of buses.
I make models of buses.
So they're going to be in Downing Street.
So what I do? No, what I don't make models of buses. But what I make is. I get old. I don't know, wooden crates.
Yeah.
Right? And then I paint them. And they have two suppose it's a box that's been used to contain two wine bottles, right?
Right.
And it will have a dividing thing.
Yeah.
And I turn it into a bus, and I put passengers. You really want to know this?
You're making buses. You're making cardboard buses. That's what you do to enjoy yourself.
I paint the passengers.
But they actually think that he did that so people would Google Boris Johnson miniature bus sculptures instead of Boris Johnson Brexit bus advertisement, which is what he was commonly associated with previously.
No
yes,
way.
If he did it on purpose, it's ingenious. It's also evil. But yeah,
wild.
There's actually, and those consultants, they do seem like a scam initially, but then there are people who have been like severely publicly shamed who use them, so people stop Googling. It's like Googling them for like the horrible thing that they accidentally did. Like,
well, wasn't it when Harvey Weinstein? They had in the New York Times, they had the podcast where they talked about the lawyers that were representing him on the way up to trial, and they told him just do some charity events, get some good PR going for you.
Did you see him struggling up the stairs?
Yeah,
ridiculously, as if he were as if his legs didn't work all of a sudden. He was like carrying a walker, and then he was walking up the railing as if like truly his like complete bottom half had gone completely limp over the course of walking from the car to the courthouse, then from the courthouse to the steps.
How could I be a sexual predator when I have no movement or feeling below my belly button?
Yeah. I've eaten so much pussy. I am so tired. Oh, what a workout.
Hey baby, my dick is numb.
Yeah. So he probably paid people to be like, oh, what's his name again?
Keith Springer.
It's like Keith Springer fun. Like people Google that instead of Keith Springer FEC disciplinary action.
So he got he had 3 different charges by 3 different regulatory agencies.
Yeah.
In 2005, he got something against the SEC. He got sanctioned for $50,000.
Okay.
Not nothing. Misrepresenting the performance of a hedge fund managed by overvaluing a struggling quote-unquote .com in which the hedge fund had invested.
Wait, when did that happen?
2005.
So he's like being like, look, this .com boom, it'll never end.
Yeah, I know.
6 years after pets.com ceases to exist. A common .com bust.
Yeah, if you know Keith Springer's a problem when he still is in a quote-unquote .com in 2005.
Yeah.
You should not trust this man's judgment. The second thing he got, so this was like he like actually Maryland Division of Securities, December of 1999. But really what it comes down to is, remember how we talked about FINRA?
Yes.
FINRA is the self-regulating organization that is given authority to govern by the SEC.
Yes.
Right? But it's actually a private corporation.
See, this is helpful because I'm remembering it a little bit more every time.
And I keep bringing it up every time because it's a silly name.
It's important. It's important.
It's going to start coming up at the during my lunch breaks. I'll just be talking to my coworkers about FINRA. Just drop it into random conversations.
So they used to be called the New York. They used to be owned by the New York Stock Exchange.
Oh.
That's how trustworthy FINRA is. It used to be owned by the New York Stock Exchange. What could go wrong?
What could possibly happen?
So they so he was basically he got barred from the New York Stock Exchange in 1999. Keith Springer did.
Get out of here. We're not letting you in the building.
He was engaged in conduct inconsistent with just and equitable principles in trade.
Oh my God! How do you get from that? It's
bad.
Those people.
I know. He engaged in a course of conduct whereby I'm just reading from FINRA's website. Has this thing called broker check. You can look up any financial advisor or any broker dealer and look up their history. We can talk about that another episode because there's actually this whole other issue with broker check, and that there's this whole like expungement process where you can remove certain allegations in it.
So they can scrub. But you can't scrub your Google search.
That's true. Yes.
But you can scrub your broker
shenanigans.
Peccadillos.
Yeah. Give them a good rub down, scrub them down,
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of skeletons in the closet. Do you guys have any acid I could use to dissolve those bones?
That's what it is. Rate my professor for brokers.
It is more or less. The chili pepper is, I guess, getting barred from the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah. Gives too much homework.
Engaged in conduct inconsistent with just and equitable principles of trade. He delayed allocation of such trades until post-execution, and then allocated trades with better executions to his personal account to the detriment of numerous customer accounts. That's a bad one, apparently. Caused a violation of Rule 401. We all know Rule 401.
Is that when the droids and clones start killing all the Jedis?
Execute Operation 66. Yeah, for sure.
He affected improper post-execution allocation of trades, which resulted in the granting of preferential treatment to himself.
Oh, man.
He attempted to obstruct his member firm employer's internal investigation into his trading activities.
Yeah.
Caused a violation of Exchange Rule 440, the bad one. SEC Regulation 17A3 and 17A4BY. A4. By failing to make. Oh my God!
They just said BY.
It's in all caps. It's hard to read.
Yeah.
By failing to make and preserve required and timely records on one or more occasion relating to designation and execution of custom orders. So all of this stuff is publicly available on BrokerCheck. Keith Springer's trying to fuck with his own SEO and make this happen. So the smart money man, Keith Springer, maybe a little too smart for his own good.
A little dumb money, if I'm talking. then he broke Rule 550: ask grass or cash. Nobody rides for free. Yeah.
So Keith Springer is our story of the week. We don't know how much he's going to get charged for. So we're gonna that's a nice amuse-bouche.
Yeah.
We got two more things we want to talk about today. We want to do a bit of a follow-up on a couple things. First off today, Cory Booker dropped out. And the reason why I bring him up is because Cory Booker, a lot of people don't know this, was the only Democrat as of January 13th, 2020, when we're recording this, who had an active Super PAC.
I thought Biden had one.
Biden has a Super PAC. It has $0 in it, but he has a Super PAC.
Not active, dormant.
What? You just got like an unloaded gun? Wait. So Cory Booker had a Super PAC.
Cory Booker was the only, as of OpenSecrets.org, he was the only candidate who had an active Super PAC.
And he had to drop out for quote unquote lack of funds. So like he really had no money or was really unpopular.
Cory Booker got $100,000 from the hedge fund and private equity sector in his Super PAC. Mm-hmm. From his Super PAC got that money. Mm-hmm. His campaign got more. His campaign committee only that got $443,292. So Not everything. So he was in second place in the hedge fund sector in all the Democrats.
Behind
Joe Biden.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's from Direct Campaign. But let's look at the whole thing, the whole sector, industry totals. Cory Booker was leading in industry totals because of his Super PAC.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. So if he drops out, does he just get to walk away with all that money?
I think he has to save it for a future political campaign, or he has to give it back to the people. Those are the two options. That
I think it goes to the DNC actually, like or something to that effect. It's to the point where it's like you can't use the money, but it goes back to either a DNC like pool or DTIP. I don't know these fucking acronyms, but I don't think he can keep it directly.
Ladies and gentlemen, anyone out there listening to Ponzi Scream right now, why don't you email us?
Yeah.
And or just DM us on Instagram and give us some info on what happens to the money that you acquire in a campaign.
I think I know my mom has supported some bad candidates in primaries before, and she's got money back. Yeah, it wasn't specifically Hickenlooper, but like the spiritual Hickenlooper.
Yeah.
And she got money back from that. So it is a possibility, I believe. I believe.
I'm just a simple Southern lawyer here.
You really do sound like the lawyer from what's that movie with
what about check this out, David? The jury out there, I'm sure they'll give quite a bit of leeway to my client. I have lowered my incredibly visual gag. I have lowered my glasses.
Perfect to the pod. Perfect
to the brim, to the very the point of my beak.
So let's see who else. So I'm going to give you the rundown of who's leading in hedge fund and private equity donations.
Okay.
First place, Cory Booker, RIP, $543,000. Second place, Joe Biden, $452,000. Third place, Pete Buttigieg, $358,000. Fourth place, Donald Trump, $352,000. Okay. Then after that, it is Seth Moulton, Kamala Harris, Michael Bennett, John Delaney, Kirsten Gillibrand. Then Amy Klobuchar, $156,000. Then Beto O'Rourke, then John Hickenlooper, then Tom Steyer with $72,000. Steve Bullock, then Liz Warren with $49,000. Then Jay Inslee, then Andrew Yang with $28,000, Julian Castro, and then Bernie Sanders with $17,689.
Sensible. Super PAC. That's enough money to buy like a nice pair of orthopedics for life.
You can buy. Look, I don't think you understand how nice of a Corolla you can get. We're talking about a 2012 lightly used black Corolla, maybe for an Uber, 100,000 miles. That's just the screaming deal. All right.
Then you got Tim Ryan, Will Weld, Eric Swalwell, Marianne Williamson, R.I.P., Joe Sestak, Bill de Blasio. Tulsi Gabbard's only gotten $1,000 from the hedge fund industry specifically, not the securities industry in total. But yeah,
were they loaning her money? Look, if I could just actually, this does raise another question. Who specifically did Bernie get money from?
We can look it up, but it's so much more work.
Yeah,
so much more work.
Well, let's look it up, because I mean, his whole thing is like, I do not take. This is a grassroots campaign.
Yeah.
You know, this $17,000 is going to derail the entire Green New Deal, though.
Yeah, I know that. It's going to take it all.
I was planning to transform the nation's infrastructure and economy, but the $17,000 has made me rethink that. And petroleum
that's realistically $17,000 is probably what it would cost to repair a small pothole in New York City with all the like labor and permitting and everything.
Okay, I think that like there's a couple things about this. Is one, it could very easily be a secretary who works in the hedge fund industry. Like you could be like a front, like, or even a custodian. Frankly, like you just have to say the sector that you're in and who your employer is. So like,
okay.
So when you donate through like Act Blue or like by campaign finance law, you have to say who your employer is and what your profession is. But I believe that Open Secrets divides it by like the industry totals are what your industry, your employer is in, not what role you have in the company.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
I believe, I could be wrong. I could just be making that up right now on the spot to be
David, nice. Be careful.
And then the other, and then really, but this is the other one though, is there are a lot of people who have really, really evil jobs and really hate themselves for it.
Sure, a lot of self-hatred there.
There's a lot of people on Wall Street specifically, whether you're a lawyer paying off your student loans and you work in big law, or whether you just like are too much of a wimp to like, you know, you went to Harvard and you're too scared to turn down all that money that you're going to immediately get right out of undergrad because you're a math whiz and you don't know what else to do with your career. There are a lot of people who do work on Wall Street and genuinely hate themselves.
Yeah.
And those people are not leaders. We should never trust them as leaders, but they are people.
Yeah.
And we should respect that they are giving to what they presume to be a person who fulfills their values better than they do themselves.
It is entirely possible. It is entirely possible, my friends.
I mean, it's only $16,000. So what? It's 160 people giving $100.
Oh no, not even that.
Is that what it is? Did I right? No. 1,000 people giving $160.
No, that would be more. Or wait, all I know is that it's entirely possible that maybe one man who's just that sad that he works in Wall Street is like, oh, I'll fucking give you $18,000. Like it's like it could happen.
It actually can't by campaign finance law. You can't give more than $2,700.
Okay, 5 guys. It's the 5 guys who made the restaurant. They really hate that they're propping up this other version of it.
That's so true. That's so true.
And causing anaphylactic shock for probably Gabe. You know,
I can't even walk into one of those places.
No, dude, oh my God, that would be a nightmare.
Peanut oil everywhere.
Oh yeah, they got open air peanuts, just bag. They're just insulting you.
I hate going to bars where they keep the peanut shells on the floor. You ever go to places like that?
Yeah.
You're deadly allergic?
Yeah, I can't handle it.
My boy.
Yeah.
My
you
child.
just you walk in and you're like, oh man, I'm so happy to get a drink in this country bumpkin. Oh no.
I welt up.
You know what I'm allergic to? Intolerance.
Oh, David. I have a gold star here for you.
Actually, I'm allergic to peaches.
Really? Oh, that's so sad.
Stone fruits.
Yeah.
Stone fruits, baby. You know what I'm talking about. So, separate from the hedge fund industry is the securities industry. Okay, the securities industry does like mutual funds. And we're going to talk about the division in today's episode more. So, Cory Booker also led the securities industry in campaign and outside group total contributions with $980,000 and 674 cents.
I'm surprised he got that much. That's a lot.
Yeah, and then Joe Biden was with $972,000. I'm rounding a little bit. Pete Buttigieg was $960,000.
These guys are all close to each other for first place.
Yep. Donald Trump was $959,500.
Yeah.
And then Kamala Harris, then Amy Klobuchar with 510, actually 511. Then Seth Moulton, then Michael Bennett, then Kirsten Gillibrand, then Beto O'Rourke, then John Delaney, then Elizabeth Warren with 220,000. Excuse me. Then John Hickenlooper, then Steve Bullock, then Bernie Sanders with 133,000. Then Andrew Yang with 131, Tom Steyer with 102. Then Jay Inslee, then Will Weld, then Julian Castro, then Tulsi Gabbard with 46,000. Eric Swalwell, Tim Ryan, Bill de Blasio, Marianne Williamson with 14,000. Joe Sastak, Joe Walsh, Mike Gravel, Wayne Messam only got $260.
Good for Mike Gravel, though.
Mike Gravel got money. I am surprised that he got money, period.
Off of a Twitter account that he doesn't even run.
Yeah, I think those kids got into Columbia, though, and I'm really proud for him.
I honestly, the numbers for this, I think make a lot of sense because you've got Bernie up there with like $100,000 ish in that general area, but then everybody below him is either some kind of like whimpering simp who's out of the race at this point.
Yep.
I mean, it's to the point where it's like, if Mike Gravel got something or any number of those people below you, it's like, proportionally speaking, it's not that anybody like that is not. It's not like Bernie is necessarily wed to these people, but it's just like no. Everybody's getting money to this, and like I would remind everybody that Pete Buttigieg, Biden, and Cory Booker had like orders of like 10 times almost the amount that he had. So
close to it.
Yeah, not to play my cards too much with this, but
Cory Booker got $100,000 just from his Super PAC.
Yeah.
alone, and Bernie was at $130,000, and then Donald Trump got $375,000 from his super PAC as well from that. So that stuff is all a little. I mean, I'm also honestly like a little surprised by how little Donald Trump is getting from Wall Street. I think that's like a little that was shocking to me. But then there's a third way that Open Secrets looks at the securities industry, and that's what's called. That's this thing called sector totals. Okay. And that is the overarching umbrella category of finance, insurance, real estate.
Finance, insurance, real estate.
So with I want to start with outside groups because the outside groups is crazy. Outside groups, Donald Trump is getting $3 million from this sector. Okay. Cory Booker got $1 million from this sector.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So this must be real estate people, I assume, or insurance people, because it's not finance was just elucidated, right?
Yeah.
Then
nice word use of elucidated.
Thanks very much. Thanks. So then that means that those two are also the top recipients overall, campaign and super PACs. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump gets nearly $7 million from financial, insurance, and real estate.
Wow.
Then Cory Booker is at $3 million. Pete Buttigieg is at $2,955. Joe Biden $2,767. Then Kamala Harris and Amy Klobuchar at $1.2 million. So big drop off between. She has half, right? Then Bernie Sanders.
Interesting.
Also $1.2 million.
I am very curious who in that denomination is what their actual technical roles are.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So Beto O'Rourke is at 1 million. Elizabeth Warren 987.
Yeah.
So a little bit below Bernie. Michael Bennett, Seth Moulton, John Delaney, Kirsten Gillibrand, John Hickenlooper, Andrew Yang 471. Steve Bullock, Jay Inslee, Julian Castro, Tulsi Gabbard $214,000. Bill de Blasio. I mean, this is a huge sector of the economy, by the way.
Yeah.
Really, very. Then Bill de Blasio, Tom Steyer, 144, but he's all self-funded anyways. Marianne Williamson, Tim Ryan, Will Welds, Eric Swalwell, Joe Stadstek, Mike Gravel. Mike Gravel got $4,000 from this industry.
This is great.
and then a few more. Then a few of the other weirdos. But yeah, so that is some of the Open Secrets stuff. A few weird stories specifically tied to some sort of like donors thing. One quick thing is one notably absent person is Mike Bloomberg. Mike Bloomberg, I don't know if you guys have watched cable recently, but he's all over cable.
He's going to give $1 billion to the Democratic Party and candidate.
It's funny because he's just
nice young man.
He's like, it's a weird pivot because he's already like, look, I'm gonna lose. Like but also he's still running a campaign, you know?
But he's putting out ads all the time. Mm-hmm. And one of his ads is Mike Bloomberg has never received money from any influence group ever, which is the most misleading advertisement I've ever seen in my life, because he is a billionaire that has been self-funding his entire political career.
Danny Feltz has never once punched a car out of rage when it almost ran him over. Yeah.
Just an absolutely insane. Yes, I mean, like, but also an influence group means he's never received a money from a union. It means he's never received a money from like a nonprofit. He's never, you know what I mean? Like an influence group is also those sorts of things as well.
Yeah, he's never taken a constituency into account when he's making his decisions. There is no army that backs his ideas. He doesn't stand for anything other than his own ego.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say, because when we read that, David sent over a Bloomberg article that was about that, and it was talking about how he doesn't like pay into special interests, and it's like, yeah, buddy, but like that doesn't make any sense, because when you say you don't get any contributions from corporate or whatever stuff, it's like no, you're that. When they got rid of like campaign finance, when they did campaign finance stuff, what was it called? The security
campaign finance reform.
Yeah. What like that's what
you mean?
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
Okay.
That Supreme Court case. They were like, yeah, corporations are people too, and I disagree with that for everybody except Michael Bloomberg. He seems like what a corporation would be if it was a person. Like, he's absolutely that.
He's also founder, CEO, and majority shareholder of Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Which is like, the financial sector publication, one of the financial sector publications of record, and also having like all its arms and all sorts of other little financial sector things like the Bloomberg machines. But like
he reminds me of Ozymandias from The Watchmen.
Yeah.
He's not as smart as that fictitious character, but he is the idea of a sort of a super empowered human who wants to impose his will on the world for our own good.
Yeah.
So his whole run is a paternalistic, take on like superhero billionaire saving us
he's
from
also
ourselves.
got like some serious like Charles Foster Kane sort of vibes to him, right? I mean, like it's a classic like media mogul pivoting to politics.
Yeah.
Sort of like uber ambition, like the ultimate, like the original like cultural understanding of what hubris is in the modern world is like a corporate media mogul pivoting to politics and becoming a megalomaniac.
Yeah, it's kind of refreshing in a way because it's like Elon Musk, where Elon Musk is just like, I'm fucking crazy. I date Grimes. I made a wacky ass truck. And Mike Bloomberg is just the boring version of that.
I prefer Mike Bloomberg's aesthetic, frankly. Just aesthetically, that's all. It's the only thing. I mean, like
I would make a very sensible truck. It would be all round corners.
Look, I'm sure that Mike Bloomberg's Seder is very tasteful. I'm sure it'd be very nice.
It would be like a PT Cruiser, but rounder. All right.
Yeah. I would imagine that I would prefer his electric car than Elon Musk's Cybertruck.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Cybertruck.
But so Mike, a thing just came out in The Intercept that said Mike Bloomberg's campaign is completely managed by lobbyists. Okay, so it's like, who is Mike Bloomberg actually like loyal to? To whom does he like owe a duty? And that is like the minority shareholders at Bloomberg LLP, even though he's the majority shareholders. I guess like the government when they're cracking down on his multi-billion-dollar empire, and the people that he hires. These are the only like means of influence and like oversight over Mike Bloomberg. And so it's like Stu Loser. I don't even know how to pronounce loser. It's like I swear to God, it's
loser.
Stu. I swear to God, it's Stu Loser. It is Stuloeser. How would you pronounce that?
Maybe Loiser.
Ew, that's almost worse than loser.
Yeah.
Loiser. That's fucking. But he was retained by Purdue Pharma, makers of OxyContin.
Oh, they're fun.
Big fan of their work.
Yeah. I love what they've done to West Virginia. Really cleaned up the place.
Love what they did to Prince, R.I.P.
But those pills feel like your insides are in a warm bathtub.
Yeah. It sounds like you're surrounded by slugs, but in a good way.
I want to be covered in warm slugs.
Oh, I hate it.
98.5 degrees.
Yeah.
In the shade.
Yeah.
So, campaign manager is Kevin Sheeky. Gross. Another gross name.
Yeah.
Kevin. Yuck.
You scamp.
He previously was a lobbyist for Bloomberg, but he also helped to do the NBC Comcast merger.
That's not a conflict of interest there. Oh, no.
Yeah, Bradley Tusk, an advisor to Bloomberg's campaign.
That sounds like a strong man. I like that.
Bradley Tusk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds like a porn star.
Honestly, yeah, respect to a fellow Bradley out there.
Yeah.
He previously was a lobbyist for Uber, and he has a... for Uber. He's also...
making the world a better place.
Later worked to win passage of laws in 7 states designed to exempt gig economy workers from labor rights.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
I like where he's going.
Tusk Strategies, his consulting firm, is currently registered to represent the Police Benevolent Association of the City of New York.
Dude, when I read that was the most egregious. People outside of New York are not going to understand it, but you have to understand that the NYPD are uniquely awful.
They truly are.
Yeah.
So this guy is a winner. I mean, he goes from Uber to keeping Uber drivers from being able to unionize.
Yep.
And then the police.
And and also his consulting firm registered to represent internet payday loan provider Moneylion.
Oh man,
just like predatory on the poor,
God.
preying
So-
on the poor.
Loan sharks, race soldier, SWAT teams, and anti-union activists.
This guy is a 21st century version of like every bad like in the Depression, like all the like the what are the guys who went to actually went into West Virginia?
The Pinkertons.
The Pinkertons. He's like a 21st century Pinkertons.
Yeah, he's bad.
He's not a great guy.
Yeah, but he does have a great name. That's all I have to say about
Not
that.
a good look, Tusk. Not a good look.
So I think that's important to talk about. Another weird thing to talk about. This is going to get into the weeds a little bit, folks.
Bring your hedge clippers.
So there's this rule. Okay, there is a rule on the financial sector is not allowed to give too much money to people who manage public pension funds. Essentially.
Yes.
Okay. So this idea is that they don't want to essentially create what's called a quote unquote pay to play scheme. Okay. Because when you are a municipal, let's say you're a mayor of a small town in, I don't know, like Illinois or Indiana or something like that.
Yeah, a college place. Maybe there's a very well-known college football team there based off of a French cathedral. Something
along those lines. Yeah. Let's say it's called L'Arc de Triomphe College.
Yeah.
So he, this alleged mayor is in charge of picking the company that is going to manage the investment portfolio of all of the city employees.
Sure.
For their retirement plan.
We'll call this evergreen investments.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And so you have, so let's say you have the, L'Arc de Triomphe, city of L'Arc de Triomphe.
Yeah. North Bend, Indiana.
Yeah, North Bend, Indiana. Okay, so
Yeah.
they have their employees, all the, if it's owned by, if the trash collectors are, city employees, the teachers are city employees, firemen are city employees, cops are city employees. Unfortunately, the cops are part of the city.
Librarians.
Yes. So all of these folks, okay, they have retirement funds. Hopefully they have retirement funds. Those retirement funds are in a big fund, usually called like the North Bend, Indiana, employees retirement fund.
Sure, I envision a giant cauldron.
Yeah.
And everyone's just tossing coins in there.
Just tossing it in there.
Scrooge McDuck in it, but like not with gold, like just regular quarters.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And
so it's a big pool. It's a communal pool.
It is a pool. Yeah, it is.
So the financial sector they'll manage that, obviously. Like it's not like Mayor Pete Buttigieg. Oh, what? Who's that?
I don't know what you're talking about, David.
Someone is not whoever is the mayor. It was like the head of some municipal or state pension plan.
We'll call him Mayor Kev.
Yeah, Mayor Kev.
Mayor Kev.
Everyone trusts a Kev.
Yeah.
He is responsible for selecting the financial advisor who is going to manage this pension fund. Because he's not going to do it himself.
I'm the financial advisor. I work for Evergreen Investments.
Precisely. That person, under SEC and FINRA rules, is not allowed to give more than $350
Mayor Kev.
to Mayor Kev.
Yeah.
Mayor Kev.
What's going on, man? What's going on, Mayor Kev? Look, your campaign, you're ramping it up. Elections are next year. By the way, I work for Evergreen Investments, but that's not a big deal.
Oh, that's a great suit.
What's really important is that I like the cut of your jib. I like your energy. I like how you're young.
Yeah.
I like how you're gay. But like you don't show everybody. You don't like rub it in our faces.
You're not really queer about it.
Yeah.
I like that about
It's
you.
not gross.
You're super trad. You're married.
Yeah,
dude.
Fantastic.
Yeah. You're literally, your husband's name is Chased.
Yeah.
I'm calling you up right now because I think I bumped into you on Main Street earlier this week.
Yeah.
We're both out seeing cats.
Yeah.
It was great, and I just want you to know that I would love to contribute money to you for your campaign. And by the way, this has nothing to do with the fact that I work for Evergreen Investments. However,
Ah,
I'm glad that you remember me from that.
yeah, exactly. So that's the whole thing. It's like it's too close of a bribery. It's too obvious of a bribery. Like, let's all be reasonable people. You receive a campaign contribution in excess in a huge amount, especially if it's going to your Super PAC or something like that. Then that we can exceed $2,700. That sort of stuff. That is influential, right, in your decision making down the line. And so the SEC has made a rule that says that you can only give up to $350 to people who you will actually be represented by. $150 to people who would not be represented by.
So we're talking about
if you are in the financial sector, and if you violate that, then you and your company and any associates therein will be barred for 2 years from interacting with that pension or public retirement fund.
Ooh, so they can only give them 1.5 PS4s in this case.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Really small amount for the financial sector especially. So how that plays out, so an example of that what happened was John Kasich actually happened with this, because John Kasich is a governor. You might say that a governor is like the mayor of a state, if you think about it.
Yeah,
And
he's walking around. He's eating the various sandwiches that the state has to offer.
he loves sandwiches.
Yeah, he's eating. He's a good eater.
I like a
like a Sausalito turkey slice with a little chipotle mayo. And
how ethnic!
You can throw a couple jalapenos and crunchy sliced pickles
You
on
like
there.
banana peppers. You know
Yeah,
John
yeah.
Kasich is
Oh
a banana
man,
pepper
he'd be a
motherfucker.
pepperoni freak, man.
Yeah.
Throw a good handful of those on there.
Yeah, he wants to eat a sandwich that's only banana peppers and pepperoncinis.
Yeah, forgive me, but he goes to Subway and he just gets mayonnaise.
It's mayonnaise and banana peppers.
Yeah,
That's the whole.
Can I get a nice glass of milk, and why don't you crush them? Why don't open up that roll of Tums over there, a fresh pack, and
So
crush,
a nice broad
crush
glass
two of
of
those
milk
Tums in
for
there.
Dunkin'.
It's the sandwich and the milk are still both really hard to swallow and fit in his mouth somehow.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's just a really big. So anyway, so he an Ohio's based asset manager, Ancora Advisors. One of the firm's employees. This was in 2018. Contributed more than $24,000.
Whoa, that's not $240.
To Governor John Kasich between 2013 and 2015, and donated $5,000 to the state's treasurer, Joshua Mandel, in 2016.
Oopsie.
And since 2010, Ancora has provided investment advisory services to the Ohio public pension system.
That's what's left of it.
Yeah. So they were fined. So Ancora Advisors was fined $100,000 for violating these pay-to-play rules.
Now, how much is that in the grand scheme of their profits, though?
Oh, fucking! I mean, pardon my French. Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I truly.
Stay dead.
We can look it up right now. Ancora Advisors AUM. How about that? This is a very easy thing to do. Just AUM means assets under management. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's all it means. From what I see, it says assets under management $7.5 billion.
Whoa! I was conservative. I was gonna be like, maybe it's like $1 billion. No, it's
7.5.
It's several $billion.
It's as laughable as the idea. Like, so this disincentivizing corruption is as laughable as carbon credits disincentivizing. Like carbon emissions.
I mean, that's an interesting analogy. I wouldn't have thought of it as directly. It's just such a slap on the wrist. But the big thing that they get is they can no longer interact with this pension fund for 2 years, and they're like,
which is probably worth more than $100,000 in this case.
Sure. So they're out. Whatever the revenue would be for the year, maybe even $1 billion.
Oh,
maybe
I would. I mean, they realistically, they probably make $100,000 in like an hour.
So this is also a settlement. So they find it, but like this is after like negotiations that the SEC does with industry to try and like get them to deal with it. And so it probably wasn't like I don't know what they were barred. It does from what I can tell. I don't know if they were actually. If they actually were barred from being able to do this. But they're supposed to take a 2-year timeout from providing paid advisory services. I didn't get a follow-up on that. I don't know what happened with that. The weird thing about this is, and how this affects us in a big way, is as of January 1st, 2020, Mayor Pete Buttigieg is no longer the mayor of South Bend, Indiana. And there have been numerous articles filed all over the media outlets about how Pete Buttigieg is a favorite of Wall Street. And yet he has still been able to receive these donations, assuming that these people just are essentially they're giving money under the presumption that they're just not even going to try to get the South Bend, Indiana municipal, they're not going to get that business. So they're just going to take, I'm going to give it to them anyways.
Long game.
Yeah, there's like, you know what, I'm just not going to have that. And it's a tiny ass city in Indiana. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
They're going to give him money because he's running for president. But now that he is, and I don't have any evidence that anyone exceeded the $350 who's an investment advisor, just for full disclosure purposes.
This is what is it? Conjecture? Is that the word?
Conjecture. This is all educated guess. But like, the important thing to know is that now that he is no longer the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, those rules do not apply to him.
He's normal like the rest of us.
So now he is normal, and he can receive even more donations from the financial sector than he already had before.
It's something that everybody should keep a very close eye on, because the probability of it happening much higher now. Like, I would be very surprised if at some point in at least the next 2 debates, something like that came up. Now, whether or not the news cycle really pays attention to it, that's up for grabs.
I mean, it's so esoteric that it's like not really probably going to get too much.
It would have to be a huge thing. Like, there would have to be an actual story connected with it. You know?
Yeah, we'd have to find some breaking news.
Yeah, either not even Bernie would really bring it up at this point. You know, it's too esoteric for him almost.
I think Warren would bring it up if anyone's going to bring it up, because she's punching at Pete. She's been punching at Pete recently with the wine cave thing or whatever. And she's wonky enough that would be on brand of her to bring something this wonky up, you know? And
she's got a head for policy. People love that.
And selfies. She loves them.
So another reason why to bring this up today is that today, the U.S. Supreme Court. So what happened was with this rule is the Republican part. After this came out, there was the first one came out with the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board, which is like kind of like a FINRA, but for the municipal securities industry. Then there was one for FINRA itself, which put one out in 2015 that put out this rule about the $350 limit or the 2-year cooling off period or whatever.
Yes.
Instantly, the Republican Party challenges these on First Amendment grounds, citing McCutcheon, which is kind of like a lead up to Citizens United.
Citizens United, that's what I was forgetting.
That's what we were forgetting. We were both brain farting earlier.
So what is Citizens United for me?
Citizens United says that you can give unlimited campaign contributions to an outside group because it is protected free speech under the First Amendment of the Constitution.
Hell yeah. Every dollar is a vote.
Every dollar is a vote, and that's all that matters.
My name is Michael Bloomberg, and now my voice has been heard.
And so what happened was the Republican Party of Georgia, Tennessee, and New York all challenged this FINRA rule, which limits the financial sector from donating directly to state and municipal leaders who have influence over municipal retirement plans or pensions, right?
Weird bedfellows.
So yeah, Tennessee, Georgia, and New York. I don't know why these 3 Republican parties chose it. Presumably,
New York, sure, yeah.
Yeah, like New York because it's such a big pot.
Yeah,
you know,
it's finance. Yeah,
exactly. And maybe Georgia and Tennessee because they're both conservative and they're just like big like Republican powerhouse states.
Yeah, that's true. Could be.
I don't know. So again, conjecture, as the kids say. They appealed. They asked for it on. They first went to the 11th Circuit, lost. They said that wasn't the right place to do it. They didn't have standing there. It got moved to the D.C. Circuit. Tennessee and Georgia got dropped. Georgia got dropped. Then it was just Tennessee and New York in on this suit in the D.C. Circuit. Okay, and the D.C. Circuit said, "No, man, this rule is totally valid." They challenged. They said that this rule was unconstitutional. They said that it was arbitrary and capricious. They said that it was a violation of the First Amendment. That was really the big thing.
Throwing capricious down like that? Woo! Man, you mean business.
So they said it was for a violation of the First Amendment because really what you need with First Amendment is the government can regulate speech, right? So the crazy thing about this is, first off, that the government didn't even dispute the fact that money is speech. That is just how far down the Citizens United rabbit hole we are. The DC Circuit didn't even say, like, we're just going to presume that money is speech, but the securities industry has a good enough reason to limit this specific type of quote-unquote speech, aka campaign contributions. And so that is why they were allowed to do that. And that's why they're allowed to make this rule to forbid this specific type of speech. It's like the government can forbid saying fire in a crowded airplane. They can forbid certain types of obscenity. You know, the government can forbid you from saying the F word on Nickelodeon. You know, the FCC can do that sort of stuff. There is certain types of speech that can be regulated. And this, they said, was serving a legitimate government interest because it was so clearly bribery.
Yeah, it's very cut and dry. Whether or not that gets played out, or how that gets played out in the Supreme Court, so they are seeing it.
It just got denied today, guys.
Oh, it got denied?
It got denied. Cert got denied.
That is very lovely. Okay, guys, so that is a positive thing, because I mean, look, I don't really like the Supreme Court one way or another, but like I can pretty much guarantee you it would have gone down like, right around those whatchamacallit, like party lines, essentially. Yeah. And then you would have had the joy of getting to see Chief Justice John Roberts be like, am I a good boy today? Or not, which is weird now because he's a Bush era appointee, and like in a weird way, he has become the deciding vote on many Supreme Court cases, and is now just now we have to care about him.
I read something recently that actually over the course of your time on the Supreme Court, you become more liberal. Like someone looked at the voting patterns of justices, and over time they all start to lean more left the longer they're on the Supreme Court.
Unless you're Clarence Thomas, in which case you have made 7 Horcruxes of yourself and are an evil demon.
I wonder why that is, though. I wonder what happens.
Experience makes you more understanding.
More lib. Maybe in the you're eating lunch, you're breaking bread in the cafeteria every day with the 1 or 2 Supreme Court justices that are.
Sotomayor is a very convincing woman.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, also you're just on there, and I mean, you come in. I mean, you get appointed. You're coming in there hot. You're whatever. Let's just assume you're a Republican in this case, or you have that conservative leaning. You come in hot. You hear cases. You're like, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about this. I'm talking about that. And then after a while, you're just like, I just don't have any zest for this as much,
Let's just let people have rights
or whatever. But then you get ideologues or dumb guys who are in there, like Gorsuch or old rapey guy.
Not Alito, but Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh, and they're just dumb. They're just like they're just dumb guys. They don't have thought. They're just I'm a dumb guy. I'm a dumb guy. I'm here to do dumb shit. All right. I'm here to wreck house. I'm here to tear open the garbage and root through it like a raccoon.
Sure, they're done. They're done learning.
Yeah. So
well, that's a good. I like that story. Things ended. That was a positive note.
Yeah.
That maybe there won't be any more.
For now.
Yeah, that's some form of campaign finance reform.
Yeah, but the thing to really look out for, the takeaway from this story, is that Mike Bloomberg has a bunch of lobbyists, and Pete Buttigieg is going to start getting more money from the financial sector.
Yeah, keep an eye out on that, and hey, it may come to a debate stage near you.
We don't know. And we were going to talk about something else, but we're just out of time.
We're out of time today.
We can't make it. It's not going to happen.
So that means you're going to have to tune in next week to keep listening to Ponzi Scream.
Yeah.
Gabe, I have to ask, did you get a text message from Bernie Sanders as well just now?
I did.
For a small donation.
They can't stop. They won't stop.
They can't stop. And honestly, I get it.
I'm okay with it.
For a
You know,
very small donation of $133,000.
Dude, honestly, every time Bernie sends me a text, I'm kind of just like, yeah, I mean, let's give $1. Yeah, like if I just give $1 every time, it's kind of fun.
So this is you guys. I mean, before we leave though, this is something I was thinking about was all of these donations that we make, these small donations. They the credit card companies. There's a service charge for each of these.
Yep.
So because of that service charge, all of these industries that suck make money, are making a profit off of us giving these little donations.
Yeah.
So it's better to give a big chunk at once.
Yeah.
If you're gonna give
$27,
don't give $27 $1 things.
Yes.
Give $27.
Yeah.
Just give 27.
Yeah, it's
service charge is overall going to be a little bit more favorable.
Yeah, because it's like one of those things where it's like 2% plus 30 cents.
Because these companies that are making the money off the service charges are just going to be donating all of the money they siphon off of you to opposition candidates, and not the candidate that you really want to win. The
guy who makes fucking credit card terminals is not chill. I can assure you, he's not just like, yeah, dude, I fucking love hacky sack. I love chilling with my bros. Oh man, have a good time. No, like he is a Mike Bloomberg character who's just like, how can I get this money?
Yeah, it's like one for you, one for me.
Yeah, no, he's not chill.
So
we should really do an episode looking into Act Blue. I'd be really curious to look into. So I just looked them up. They the executive director is Aaron Hill.
Yeah,
I think this is something that we should. And the founders Benjamin Ron and Matt Derbergeles. And
Benjamin
I think
Ron is one of the worst names I've ever heard.
Just bad names in the financial sector. That's like that's really important.
Oh, dude, he's like the Ben Ron scandal.
Yeah, let's do an episode on Act Blue.
Yeah.
All right.
But this is it for today.
Yeah.
We're done. Thank you all for listening. And we want everybody to rate, review, and subscribe. Tell your friends.
God bless you.
Tell 2 people that you know about the show, because that's the only way that we really spread the word about it. It really is like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah. I like
if
starting
you subscribe. I
like starting with schemes and ending with schemes.
Listen to subscribe to Ponzi Scream, and you what you get from it is not an episode of a podcast, but the chance to create a podcast that you can sell to 5 other people and tell them to listen to it. Anyways, okay, that's all I had to say about that. God bless you. Good night. I'm David Bradley Eisenberg.
Gabe Pacheco.
I'm Danny Phelps.
Still Phelps.
Yeah.
All right.
Good night.
Good night. Peace.
Bye.
What do you do to relax? What do you do to switch off?
I like to paint, or I make things. I like to...
What do you make?
I have a thing where I make models of... when I was in London, well, Mayor of London, we built a beautiful... I make buses.
You make models of buses?
I make models of buses.
See, they're going to be in Downing Street.
So what I do... No, what I don't make models of buses, but what I make is... I get old, wooden crates.
Yeah.
Right? And then I paint them. And they have two. Suppose it's a wine. It's a box that's been used to contain two wine bottles, right?
Right.
And it will have a dividing thing.
Yeah.
And I turn it into a bus, and I put passengers. You really want to know this?
You're making buses. You're making cardboard buses. That's what you do to enjoy yourself.
I paint the passengers enjoying themselves.
Okay, great.
On the wonderful bus.
Great.